everyone, it's Sherry. Welcome to the Rustic South. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, thank you so much. Today we are going to make a candle holder. I had gotten some chocolates at Trader Joe's over the holidays, and I decided that it was like the perfect length for making a candle holder. And I've seen these around for a while, so I thought maybe we would use this container to do so, and some paper bags and some napkin ring holders from Dollar Tree, some paint, some cinnamon, some coffee. Here are the napkin ring holders that I used. Hopefully you can find them. If not, you can find something else. I would use coin wrapper holders to make them, maybe, or paper towel ring. Cut paper towels into rings, or toilet paper rolls into rings. And so here we're going to take the candles and grunge them up. I don't know if you guys have done this before. I know there are many videos about it. I've never done it on the channel, so here we go. So what I use Mod Podge. If you don't have Mod Podge, I would just use school glue. Any school glue will work. Some cinnamon. I also use coffee grounds in it because I like how dark coffee grounds give items when they get wet. When coffee grounds get wet, they turn dark and or watery, depending how wet the material is you're putting it on. So I have 6 candle. These are the tea lights candles. We use 6 napkin rings on the project. So I think I only have 5 candles, to be honest. I think I was short one, so I'll have to make another one at some point. But anyway, if you have some tea lights, if you have something bigger that you would like to use instead of the little candles, that would be great too. Just that this chocolate box was not that wide, but it was perfect for these tea lights that I had. So there they are, grunged up, and you touch up. I'm going to have to touch up around the edges. As you can see that they're still very white, and they've been touched up, and you can't see the white anymore. And what I did was I took the box outside and spray painted it so that when we do cover it with paper bag, there won't be any images, won't be seen through the bags. So I spray painted it with black or brown, whatever you want, white, it's up to you. And I decided to cover these with paper bags this time instead of cardboard, because maybe you guys are getting tired of cardboard. Maybe you don't have any. Maybe you just want something different. So this time I used paper sacks, lunch bags, if you will, and I crumpled them up. I think we used 2, and I crumpled them up 3 times to give it that very worn, weathered look. Lots of wrinkles. It looks more aged in the end if you crinkle it up. The more you crinkle it, the more possibility you have of tearing it. So be aware of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue it to that chocolate box container, and then we're going to use coffee stain, the primitive coffee stain that I have, to age it. So I didn't have to, but I felt like I needed to sand the box a little bit just to make sure that the Mod Podge and the paper would adhere to the box. Well, it was kind of slick, just a little. And there might be a better way of putting this paper on the box than what I'm doing. This is the first time I've covered anything with paper sack. So we're all learning this together. But in the end, the coloring of it turns out like leather. It is so awesome. I love to use coffee stain on things. It makes the cardboard look like old wood. It makes this brown paper look like leather. It is amazing, the transformation. So here I'm gluing it down. So beware when you're putting Mod Podge on this box. The coffee stain will not adhere to those areas that well. So I did have to eventually in the end get out my antiquing sponge and add it a little bit to the project, to the paper, to help it stain easier. But you'll see, it works out just fine. It looks awesome in the end. So cover the entire thing with brown paper sack. Use the least amount of Mod Podge or glue that you can. And I wouldn't use hot glue just because it will leave grooves from where you put the hot glue down. I didn't want to see grooves. I wanted this to look more like leather. And this looks so nice on your kitchen table or in a bookshelf. I have a timer taper, not the timer taper, the timer tea light, and they come on at like, I don't know, around 6 o'clock at night. They're on for I think 4 or 5 hours. It lights up my hallway. I have it in my hallway. And if you wanted to cover that back up, that's going to be the bottom. If you want to cover it with another piece of the paper, you could do so, and it would look more of like one piece rather than just 2 pieces. But in the end, you don't even notice it because of the coloring that we're going to do. So here's where we're going to add the coffee stain. The recipe is attached. So remember, the more you shake this, the more bubbles are going to form, and that will not stain. So I would just stir it around with your paintbrush. Paint it on. Be liberal with it, but don't soak it because it will eventually tear the bag if that's what you're going to do. So be liberal with it, but do not soak the bag. Do not keep going over the same area with it. And have your hairdryer handy because the hairdryer is what is going to dry it, give it that dark color. It will make it darker. The hairdryer will help it harden and become that leathery look. I find it best to do more than 1 coat, sometimes more than 2 coats, depending on how dark you want something. And of course, if you don't want to coffee stain it, you again could put cardboard on it. You could just spray paint it. You could spray paint it any color that you want. If you want white or just brown, you could have spray painted it just dark brown and not do the paper on it. I have to do the paper because I want it to have that leather look. Totally up to you guys what you want to do with it. You could even cut holes in the top of it and kind of inset the napkin ring holders down into the top of it if you didn't want them sitting directly on the top. Of course, there are many different ways you could do this. Your imagination is what's going to keep you engaged. So I would say this is probably going on my second or third coat of the coffee stain at this point. And I wouldn't make it look all the same all over the place. I like to leave it with areas darker than others. It gives it that more aged appearance. It's amazing that this stuff turns out like leather. It's so interesting. You see me blotting it there, and that's where it's going to give darker spots in those areas, right? And then it will, that looks like, honestly, it looks like leather in those areas when it dries, old worn leather. And use your hair dryer on hot. I would not use a heat gun for this unless that's all you have. Just a plain old hair dryer works great. And nor do you have to do the bottom. I can't remember if I did the bottom or not. I think I did. And please don't see, look at the difference, the dark spots. I know on camera it just looks like dark brown, whatever, but whenever you let it dry completely, it honestly feels like leather. It really, that coffee really makes that paper stiff. Here's where I take my stamp pad and add it to those areas where the coffee stain didn't seem to want to go so much because of the glue I mentioned earlier. It's my distressed oxide. See that on the back there, you can see where the coffee stain didn't take so well, but that's on the bottom, so it's okay. But if you wanted to add some of that distressed oxide on the bottom, you could to cover up more. Now I'm gluing the rings on the top of it. So I was trying to stay inside the circle as much as I could, putting the hot glue on here so that it doesn't show up on the outside when you glue it on. And you can get out your tape measure and do all the measuring and figure out exactly where you want to put these and do all that if you wish, but I eyeballed it. It came out just fine. It worked out. Now I did discover at this point that whenever you do the candles, you do not have to grunge the entire candle, but I did just because I wanted to keep them all the same, and if I ever move them, they'll be done. But here it is, the finished product. And at the end, I decided to go back and add some coffee stained tea towels around the candle holders themselves, just to give it a little bit of a different color, texture, a little more dimension. There you can see there I added the coffee stained tea towel around the edges. It turned out really cute. It looks really good in my hallway. Two of the candles aren't working. I need to get new batteries. That's not a big deal. And another candle. But there's our finished product. I hope you like it. I hope you give it a try. Let me know if you try it and how yours turns out. I would love to see some pictures of what maybe you've come up with. Thanks so much. Hey, remember to like and subscribe so you get notifications when new videos come out. Thank you. Have a good one.